Hey guys, Sparks back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. Does power live up to her name, or should you power down your game? Let's find out. We'll look at her kit, cubes, team comps, PVE tests, and PVP tests. Power is a fire-type burst 3 attacker that uses a missile launcher. And if you like Nikke videos, please take a second to subscribe for more cakes. Okay, so her first skill activates whenever she attacks with full charge, and this is really her most important skill. It increases attacks for 3 seconds and can stack up to 5 times. This becomes a very significant boost in damage, but unfortunately if she takes cover or reloads, she loses the stacks, but more on that later. Her second skill activates when hitting max stacks of the first skill after landing at least 18 normal attacks. It increases the size of the AoE on her attacks for 10 seconds and instantly reloads. Unfortunately, this only activates once per battle, and the bigger blast radius for hitting multiple enemies doesn't synergize all that well with the rest of her kit. Her burst has the typical 40-second cooldown and affects the enemy with the highest attack. In other words, it's a boss killer. It deals a whopping 1,152% of attack at only level 4 and over 1,500% at level 10. And if her first skill is at full stacks, it deals twice as much damage. Basically, she's a nuke that is really good at dealing big damage to bosses. When we look at cubes, it gets interesting. She's a rocket launcher, so intuitively you might want to go for the onslaught cube to increase charge damage, but as many people quickly found out, she can actually keep her maximum stacks on her first ability by equipping the resilience cube if the skill is at least level 2. So this is by far the best cube for power, as the attack buff from her skill outweighs the damage she would get from increased charge damage. However, if you're pairing her with someone like Scarlet, you'll generally get more damage overall by decreasing her reload speed, and in that case I would actually recommend the Adjutant cube for faster charge damage, or rather faster charge speed. You'll build burst quickly and give yourself a bit of a cushion to keep stacks as much as possible. When testing in the shooting range, first I did a generic high DPS team. You can see that power is far outperformed by Scarlet and Modernia, even though Modernia was not using her burst. Even Rupee did slightly more damage than power, although keep in mind, Rupee's getting to use twice as many bursts. The other big caveat here is that Scarlet and Modernia have skill 7 compared to power at skill 4. Modernia also has a core up, but we'll do a direct comparison between power and Laplace, who is the other high damage burst 3 rocket launcher. This should be a pretty fair comparison because they're both at skill 4, except Laplace burst is 5 and power has 2 limit breaks. Also, whichever I switched my burst to Dola, so Laplace wouldn't get an unfair damage increase from Rupee because of the iron type. But they both got off 2 full burst, and you can see power did manage to do more damage by a fairly significant margin. Now keep in mind, shooting range only shows a very limited picture of the unit's capabilities, and one of the big takeaways here is just how limited power is at taking down mobs, and her real usefulness is in boss fights. When considering squad mates, honestly, it doesn't matter too much. Power is kind of a one-trick pony with selfish buffs. She can easily slot into any team as your secondary or primary DPS. This flexibility actually makes her a good target for new players, which I think there are a lot of right now because of the Chainsawman collaboration. However, there are 2 units I'll give a shout out to. The first is Soda, who can increase the stacks on power even more. So if you don't have leader, or you're doing something where you need multiple teams like union raids, she could be a good option to pair with power. The second is Alice, who is also great at single target boss fights. They are all fire element, and the real synergy is Alice's ability to increase both charge speed and charge damage, which of course helps herself but also benefits power just as much. When testing in a variety of PvE situations such as level 5 simulation room and chapter 18 of the campaign, power did what she needed to do. As I've already alluded to, I said that weird but as I've already alluded to, She is best at boss fights and lacks a bit in missions with just a bunch of enemies. This single target focus becomes the most noticeable weakness in those missions where you have to capture the area or not let them pass through the barrier. However, being a rocket launcher with splash damage, it does allow her to clear some tightly grouped enemies, so it's not all bad. I tested her against a variety of raid bosses, and she surprised me at just how good she actually is at dealing damage. Also, as a rocket launcher, she can be helpful for bosses that throw those bombs like Blacksmith and some of the others that I can't remember the name of right now. PvP is probably her weakest area. Just the fact that her burst only hits one enemy is a significant downside, compared to units like Privity or Scarlet who can wipe the whole team. However, she does help generate burst quickly, and she is high attack anyway, so she can be a decent secondary burst 3 attacker if needed. In comparison to other burst 3 units, I would say she's definitely not at the level of S tier Nikkes like Modernia or Scarlet. However, she is a pretty strong unit overall. She's neck and neck with Laplace. Depending on the situation, one might be better than the other. She also has similarities with Alice, as they are both fire attackers that need to charge and are single target focused. They're also good squad mates for each other, which is great. If you're a new player, I think she's a decent attacker that can slot into a variety of teams and do well as one of your burst 3s. But let me know what you guys think of Power. Did I miss anything? How's she been performing for you? And let me know if this video changed your mind about her at all. Remember, ultimately, use the characters you like. It's all about enjoying the game.